What's up, everybody? It's another frigid day in the middle of June in western New York, the southern tier of New York. I don't even know if spring's coming, let alone summer. Hashtag homeless day 23. I was so messed up yesterday, I didn't even know what day it was. When I posted the video online, I realized that I said it was day 21, but it was actually day 22. And so it's early. I've got an hour to kill before I go to the library today, and I get these small windows of opportunity to sit and be productive and to try and find a job and to work on my portfolio and to do whatever I can do to be productive and try to put my life back together in the midst of all this chaos. And today's window of opportunity is 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's no Wi-Fi at the homeless shelter anymore. We've all been kicked off of that. I don't know why. So in order to do any work online, upload these videos, etc., the libraries and a coffee shop are the only two places that I have available. And here on Saturdays, the library is open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's my window to get things done. I've got about an hour to kill, so I figured I'd sit here at the park and take care of this video before I do anything else today. This park is probably the nicest park in Jamestown, and it's covered in trash. And I'm not just saying like litter, like people just tossing their candy bar wrappers and their drink cups on the ground. I'm talking people come down to this place with full bags of trash and just dump the trash everywhere. It's almost like a brigade of volunteers come down with full bags of trash that they had to carry it here. And they come down to this park and they just dump it on the ground all over the freaking place. It's insane. That's where we're at. When people ask me, do you think that there's hope for America? Give me a break. This place is done. This country is done. All you've got to do to prove me right is go outside and walk around. Watch the public. Watch how people interact. Watch some of the listen to the things they say. Look at how people act. I mean, yesterday I was sitting in a park and I saw a bunch of people get into a fist fight across the street, and I just packed up my stuff and left, because when the cops show up and all that's just going to be nothing but problems for me. So I'm out. See ya. Have fun beating each other's ass, because I got no time for this. Went back to the library. It's bad. America is in bad shape, man. And it's only going to get worse, people. It's only going to get worse. I'm going to do what I can to put my life back together, but, everybody's got their struggles right now. And everything is falling apart in this place. And it's all you see. Everywhere I go, that's all I see is misery, decay, boarded up businesses. I'm saying 2/3 of the businesses are particle board windows and soaped over windows and for sale and for rent signs, because this whole town, it died. And just the things I'm seeing just in the last few weeks alone it's depressing, man. It's depressing. Everywhere I look, some of the things I see happening to people, just today alone, there's things I'm just not going to talk about, but I've seen a lot. I was saying to somebody the other day, I'm like, the only people who have seen crazier things in their life than I've seen are the people who deal with death on a regular basis, and people who fight in wars, people who police officers, emergency responders, doctors who actually care about people. I know there's some of those left. There's some that aren't in it just for the money. Who else? There's somebody. There's another. People who are just around death and destruction and that level of misery. You know, hats off to those people who can put up with that and tolerate that on a regular basis. You know, there are people who have to deal with that multiple times a week. And, I've been fortunate enough in life to never really be exposed to that too much. And, but if we take that out of the equation, if we're going to get into a contest of who has the most messed up stories to share, you're not going to beat me on that contest, guaranteed. If you want to get into a contest to see who's had the most screwed up or just seen the most crazy things at an office or a work environment, just forget about it. You're not going to beat me on that contest. I wouldn't even have to try. I wouldn't even have to pull out my best ones to win. So, but it gets old after a while. It really does. And, but all I can do today is get to that library, sit in front of the computer as long as I can. Hopefully I don't have to go to the bathroom, because when you have to go to the bathroom, it means I have to pack everything up, put it in my bag, shut everything down, go to the bathroom, come back to the desk, set everything back up, turn it all back on, kick on all the software, get everything set up back to the way it was. It's like a 15, 20-minute process just to go take a leak. Because you can't just leave your stuff sitting out on a table in a public place like a library, especially here, and feel like that's going to be safe to go walk away from it, turn your back on it for 5 minutes, whatever it takes, and expect all your stuff to be sitting there when you come back. You're going to be coming back to an empty desk. I guarantee it. So that, these little things add up throughout the day. I'm dehydrated. Dehydration's a real thing when you're in this situation, because you get to the point where you just don't want to drink water because it's going to cause you problems. You're going to have to pee all the time, and you realize there's nowhere to go to the friggin' bath, or if I have to go every 20 minutes, I won't get anything done today. So I just don't drink water. And then I feel like that's actually having an effect on me physically. Food, the EBT situation is, I get, like, people were making, I've posted the memes, I've made fun of it too, when the New York governor said they're going to let people use their EBT cards at restaurants. People are outraged about this. Oh, these freeloaders, blah, blah, blah. I can see that point of view, but when you're in a town like this, and in pretty much any big city in America, there's no food. They call it a food desert, and it's real. I've been staying at the library all week long to work on things, and they serve dinner at the homeless shelter at 6 p.m., but the library closes at 7. So in order to get to the shelter for dinner at 6, I would have to pack up my stuff around 5 o'clock, get back there in time to eat. And so that's 2 hours that I'm throwing away that I could get stuff done. So I decide, okay, I'll sit here and work for 2 more hours, and I'll use this EBT card to grab a bite to eat. But in the first place, the only places I can swipe that card to get food are 7-Eleven, another convenience store that's terrible and it's pretty much empty. There's nothing. It's a complete dump. There's a grocery store that's about a mile down the road, and they have pretty good subs. That's about all I can get there that's fresh to eat. But they close at 7 p.m. So, and other than that, there's like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and like Dollar General. So if you're homeless and you're living off of food stamps, the only thing that you, like, after 7 p.m. when this library closes, Literally, the only thing that's within walking distance that I can grab a bite to eat is 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. So the only thing available is some stale sub or some sandwich that's been sitting on a shelf for 3 days, all soggy and nasty. So ice cream and candy bars. And that's your dinner. That's your freaking dinner. Because if you're homeless and you don't got any equipment to cook with and no place to go cook, what are you going to do? You can eat potato chips, candy bars, snacks. You can be creative. If you take a walk to the grocery store that actually has aisles of stuff, you could probably find some shelf-stable foods that are somewhat healthy. But, at the homeless shelter, you're not allowed to bring any outside food. And they're searching your bags and they're searching your pockets as you come and go. So I can't, grab a few bags of peanuts or something like that. Anything that I buy, I have to be able to eat before I go back there. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that I have money to eat with. The government's giving it to me, and I still can't, I can't eat healthy. I get it. That's why the governor of New York decided to push for people to be able to use their EBT cards at McDonald's, because their options are limited, and there's no way I'm going to be eating at McDonald's every day. That hasn't come to this county yet. They're testing this out in a few counties, and the county I'm living in right now is not one of the participants. So, I can't go and swipe the card at restaurants, but they're pushing for that to be statewide. And now that I'm sitting in this situation and I'm experiencing all this, I get it. I get why they're doing this. And it has to do with the fact that when you're in these cities, when you're in an urban congested area, there's no place to get food. There's no grocery stores. Grocery stores are in the suburbs. The nice neighborhoods are where all the food's at. When you're in the place where the people are downtrodden, there's nowhere to get food. There's not. And that's like that in Pittsburgh. It's like that here in Jamestown. I'm sure any decent-sized city in America, that's how it is. The only places to eat in Jamestown are fancy restaurants all over they're just expensive, fancy restaurants all over downtown Jamestown. There isn't even fast food down here. There isn't even McDonald's and Burger King down here. There's a couple pizza joints. It's just all a bunch of trendy, hipster, what do they call it? Gentrification in some of these areas. And outside of those areas, it's just boarded up windows and condemned buildings and just broken businesses and trash all over the streets. Jamestown. And it's representational of so many places in America. It's disgusting, this country. It's falling apart. Anybody who keeps telling me that, America's the best place on earth, get over it. It's not. This place is a dump, just like anywhere else. I know lots of people who have come here from other countries who say that this place is crap. That the country that they came from that was supposedly so oppressive, they have a lot more. They want to go back home because there's more freedom back home than there is here. And the people aren't as nasty, and people come here from other countries and tell me how horrible this place is compared to where they came from all the time. So, get over it, America. You're a dump. You're falling apart. Your country's over. This place is done. So there's my rant for the day. It's first thing in the morning. I'm facing chaos again. I have no idea. I'm hoping I can get through this weekend without any crazy phone calls. And I hope I could just sit down and kind of focus on some things. I'd be working on putting some photos up on shop.litgood.com, for people who watch this channel. If you want to take a look at that, get some art. I'm selling my art. But that takes anywhere from half an hour to an hour to get one photo listed up on that store, at least. So if I want to do if I want to put 4 or 5 more photos up for sale, that's a day's worth of work. And right now, that day of work would be better spent continuing my job search, polishing up and adding to my portfolio. My design portfolio that I'm using to try and find a job in alignment with what I was doing before my nightmare began. That's a never-ending process. That's something I can just continue to work on day after day after day. It's a project that will never be finished. It's just, all you do is you make incremental improvements and you just keep adding to what you already have and just keep trying to build it better and better and better until the day that somebody says you're hired. You might back off and slack off a little bit and kind of let it go for a while. But it's just, in my line of work, it's more important than the resume. I was talking a few weeks ago, keep your resume up to date at all times. Like when you start a new job, put that new job on your resume immediately. Like within the first couple of weeks, put that job on. Update your resume now, because if things go south at a new job and you have the mental fortitude to get some of those things done and taken care of, then when you're mentally destroyed because you need to find a new job, all that work is going to be done already. So, that's a lesson I've had to learn. It's a lot easier to take care of certain things when you're feeling good than it is when you're feeling bad and down and going through a time. Little bit of advice there. Let's see. I don't know what else there is. We're at 16 minutes and oh man, I gotta kill 45 more minutes or so, get to that library when they open, and see how much I can get done in 6 hours. I can accomplish a decent amount of work, but just being thrown into this chaos without much warning and just the whole experience of coming home, I haven't had a moment's peace. I haven't had a day where my stomach wasn't tied in knots, and I'm not paralyzed with anxiety, but it's hard. It's really hard not to worry about tomorrow. God tells us in the Bible, don't worry about tomorrow because there's enough things to worry about today. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. And it is sufficient for each day to just focus on today. And if you do try and sit in anybody's life, it don't matter what you're going through, if you sit here and try to analyze and predict all the different ways things could go wrong tomorrow and over the next 2 weeks of your life, you'll drive yourself nuts. And you'll find that a lot of the things that you worry about are unfounded. And the more that you worry about things and the more that you focus on what could go wrong, you can materialize those things in your life just by focusing on them. I can certainly say that part of this whole disaster that brought me to this point was because I had it in my head that, this is the direction the country's going and this is what they're going to be doing and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are living in the times where people, it is like Nazi Germany. It is like the communist revolutions in these countries. They are, at some point in America, they're going to start kicking down doors and just rounding people up and taking them away. And I'm not saying that in my situation that I did nothing to bring this on. That would be false information. But the fact that I was thinking about it so much and, like a lot of people, trying to be prepared for anything. And sometimes when you focus on something too much, you end up materializing it in your life. You focus on... It's almost like when you see people that are sick all the time. And then you see other people who never get sick. I got sick a week or two ago. I don't remember. It was in these videos. I was sick for a few days. But I I I really don't get sick that often in life. I mean, I haven't really been to a doctor since I was like 18 years old, and I'm almost 50. And so, but I'm just one of those people that never believe I'm sick. Even when I'm sick, I just brush it off like, oh, this is only going to last a couple days. I don't believe that I'm sick. And there is something to that, because I know people who are sick all the time and they just expect to be sick all the time. And it's almost like this vicious cycle of your mind, by focusing on being sick all the time, you'll never get better. But if you believe, I know my grandfather was like this. He'd have a heart attack and not tell anybody because he didn't want to. He's like, oh, I didn't want to ruin everybody's Christmas. He would go in for heart surgery, and the day he came home from heart surgery, he's out mowing his yard with a push mower because he's just like, I had to mow the yard. The grass was getting tall. Like, that's the kind of, but he never really did get sick, and he lived a long time. And like, so there's just people, like, I've seen so many examples of this where your mindset has more to do with your health than your germs and your genetics and your body and all that stuff. And that comes into play across all aspects of life. So the more I believe that, the more I focus on the future and how good it's going to be, the Bible says when the book of Job, read about Job. He lost everything. He lost his children. He lost everything he had, all his wealth, his home, his children, his whole family. His health went down, and he was literally brought down to within an inch of his life. And in Job's case, he was blameless. He was an innocent man who, the devil, God just said, Satan, you do whatever you want to this guy. He's never gonna stop praising me. And that's, the moral of the book, at the end of the book, God restored Job. His wealth was multiplied tenfold. It says the latter half of Job's life was more prosperous than the first half after all of this, passed. God restored everything in his life. Now, I don't know how God, he lost his whole family, his children, and so I, sometimes I wonder, well, he didn't restore that. He didn't bring these people back to life, but it does say that the latter half of Job's life was better than the first half after he went through these trials. And so it's kind of a lesson for all of us. You can lose everything, you can hit rock bottom, but you can be restored, and you can be restored beyond your wildest imagination. And so I'm focusing on that. And so with that, we're 23 minutes, and I'm just gonna get back up to that library and put my head down, forget about all this stuff swirling around, and just focus eyes on the prize. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.